Now target species today is just deep drop species. What I'm going to do is take you through my deep drop rigs. Right, there's our deep drop rig for Perth Metro anyway. Now we're drifting this way. That means that there's a current going out this way. Got some good sounder readings there. Don't know, it's on the edge of something I suspect, but we shall see. G'day fishers, what I'm going to do is take you through my deep drop rigs. I've had quite a number of requests, so let's go through them, eh? Alright, first thing I'm going to take you through is a crimping tool. This one has a ratchet in it. Get a ratchet crimp if you can. Hooks. So I use 14-0s. Now these hook sets come with a swivel on them. And the reason why I use them is because when the fish or bait spins, it helps. Trust me, big difference. Crimps. Crimps, I've got these from China some years ago. I've got whole bags of them. And also some crimp swivels. Keep a note, these aren't very reliable. Make sure you get heavy duty ones if you can. Now you want something to glow whilst you're down there. You're down 400 or 500 meters. So these little glow tubes are great to put on. And also some line protector, and I'll show you how you put those on. There's a lot of pressure down there in abrasion, and this helps a lot. Make sure you don't bust off on big fish down there. If you want to go next level, you can get some little octopus or glow things. These are all the Vex ones I've kept off my bottom meats over the years. And then your line. So this is just something bulk I bought from China, really cheap. It's I think around 200 to 300 pounds, probably 300. And you get a specific diameter with a rough estimate of strength, and you really want it to be able to make sure that it goes through your crimps. This one just goes through, as you can see there, like double, and hence it's perfectly sized. Okay, all right, first thing I like to do is make my sinker. So I run a crimp down the bottom for my sinker. It's just a simple long loop. And again, crimps. Now I like going across the crimps 3 times. So 1, 2, and the final one. And that's probably about 30 centimeter loop, and you can see the crimps. There's no way that's coming out. With your bait, you want to get it quite off the bottom, so I reckon probably about 1.5 meters to 2 meters. Cutting on an angle on these thick lines helps a lot, and you want some sharp scissors because when you start threading it through the crimp, it can be a pain in the neck. Before we put on anything else, we'll put the swivel through, and then we'll do the termination where you're going to clip onto your line. So, and I'll show you what these line protectors do. Right, so swivel on first, and we'll crimp that later. Then we get a loop. So what I do is I get these line protector, probably cut about a centimetre or 2 off. Thread that on, and then back through. Then you pull that down, and you'll see there's a nice little loop for you to chuck your swivel on, or snap swivel tie onto. Again, 3 times. These ratchets, this is a stainless steel ratchet as well. Stainless steel for the win. Alright, and there you go. Alright, so we're about 2 meter length on that. Now you want to go somewhere probably 3/4 of the way up, but not too close to your line. Or halfway, probably halfway between this top of your sinker loop, so it gives you a foot halfway between your sinker loop. All right, then we'll crimp this down. Now if you don't crimp these properly, these can slide up and down. Which you don't want. You'll see that's crimped on now. That's not going anywhere. All right, so that's the main line. Now we've got to tie on some hooks. First we'll tie the hook on and then we'll measure the length of how much leader I want to put on for the hook. Please excuse the plane being near the ocean. Unfortunately, there's quite a lot of planes that like to do little freaking loop-de-loops, which is bloody annoying when you're trying to do a video. So if you make a nice little point on it, it makes it a lot easier to go through the crimp. All right, crimp, and we might put an octopus on there, eh? Just to keep it interesting. First thing is, through the crimp, go through a line protector, because if you think about it, if that swivel under pressure and you've got a big fish a long way down, it's doing this all the time, eventually that can wear through the line. So I like putting a line protector on. I forget the name for them, but I'm sure I'll put links up here for you. Then you pull that through, just like that, and then we crimp. 3. All right, now we'll measure out how much length do we want on this thing. So what I like to do is just see how far it is to there, because you don't want your bait touching, as it's falling, you don't want it touching where your snap swiveled onto, all right? So it doesn't need to be very long. Probably maybe want somewhere halfway between. So if we look at that halfway point between, folded over between the clipped on swivel and that, we only need about that much length. I'll look at that, then I add a little bit more, and you can see it's bugger all really. Before we tie it on, we put our glow ocky on. That can slide down just over the crimp like that. Okay, then we go crimp, line protector, then we go through the swivel, and then back through there. And when you do this, just make sure your swivel doesn't get stuck. It should sit in there nice and loose like that. Alright, then we crimp. This will be the final crimp and the D-drop rig's ready. Alright, there's our D-drop rig for Perth Metro anyway. If you're going to be outside of Metro, then I'd be running 3 hooks, but obviously the 1 hook rule here in Perth, so that's it. Clip on there, big fish on there, and then the loop for your sinker. Run circles, singles with the swivel, and as you can see, you can do this all day. Fish can spin. You got to understand that this fish is coming from 500 meters down. There's a lot of spinning, there's a lot of abrasion, and there's a lot of chances that your fish can snap off. So putting your time in now and biting the right gear will set you up for success down the track. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful. You can always message me on Instagram or Facebook if you got any more questions about it. There you go. G'day fishers. Today, it's a bit rough this morning. I'm not sure if you can see. It's blowing a very strong northeasterly well, about 20 knots, I shouldn't say very strong, 20 knots, which is against the swell, so it's going to be a bit rough out there. Anyway, the plan is today we'll head out and we'll try to get out deep dropping if we can, because it does calm off to glass probably about 3 o'clock this afternoon, which would be a nice ride home. So between now and then, we've just got to rough it out. Now, target species today is just deep drop species. Moving into winter, I do find that the puka and bass are more prolific, so we'll be targeting them 2 species today, I think. And we'll have some grey band if we get time, but I'm not expecting many blue eye. Particularly the areas I'm going to be going, they're more of a summer fish, I find. Wish us luck, and hopefully we can get out. I'm not liking this weather one bit. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I going out if it's rough? A couple of reasons. Checking on the rot nest buoy, or buoy if you're in America. The sea is below a metre at the moment, so it's about 0.7, which is not that dangerous. And the swell is about 1.7 metres at the moment as well. Now, whilst it's windy, the conditions out there aren't too bad in terms of danger. And I think with this northeasterly, I can ride this out west until we get out to deep water. And it might be a few fast drifts at first, but then once it starts to drop off this afternoon, we should be sweet. So just a bit of patience out there. I've had heaps of messages on Instagram and Facebook about, oh, when's a good day to go out? I'm not sure about this weekend. Check out our other video about weather and what apps to use and when's good conditions to head out. And that'll give you some good guidance. Probably another thing is, instead of logging on now by the radio, I use this new Decky app. I downloaded it for a couple of years ago. It was a bit meh, but now the Marine Rescue's gotten on board with it. It means you can log on via your phone, and you can have an emergency contact in there that gets updated with your fishing on the day, which is actually really, really good if you got loved ones at home, like your wife or your partner. They know when you're on the water, when you get back, where you're going roughly, all that information. And on top of that, you don't have to fight people over the radio, especially if you're leaving in like peak hours for the ramps. It's a really, really good idea. Well done, Decky. Get on board if you haven't downloaded it. Start using it. It's a bit clunky at first, but if you've got any problems using it, just hit us up on socials and I'll tell you how to use it. Much better than the old school way, I can tell you. Also, one of the other features on the app, I'm not sure if you can see that. I hope you can. But what it tells you on the actual app itself is what radio frequencies are being monitored. So when you're going out that 50 kilometre mark, what it's telling me is that Sea Rescue here in Mandurah and Rockingham doesn't have the range to pick me up. So if I need to make contact with Marine Rescue, it's telling me that the one on Rottnest on channel VHF 81 is contactable where I'm going fishing. So if I was to attempt to contact Rockingham Sea Rescue, I'd fail, but if I get onto the Rottnest Sea Rescue, I should be sweet to be able to make contact with someone, which is really handy information. So really great app, Decky, like I said before. Get on it, plan your trips on there, put all the information in and start using it. Yes, it does monitor your location, but you don't need to share it with anyone. And if you've got some mates, you can actually share with your mates. So if you're out in the water together and you don't know where each other are, it shows you where you are and you can actually then find your mates. And it only shares it explicitly with your friends as well, which is a great idea. I don't share my location like everybody else. I don't want people stalking me on Decky and find out where I'm fishing. But you do you. It's a really great application anyway. All right, enough chit chat. We'll start heading out and we'll see you out in the water.
gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull and repel any hate, go create what you want, feel compelled, yeah. And once you finally get a taste of the race, you'll never look back once you felt that. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first.
So we're in about 230 meters of water. Just looking for grey band. This weather hasn't calmed off as much as I'd like. I'd like to go out further, but just testing out here first before we go out deeper. It's getting late in the afternoon now. Okay, let's talk about tides. Tides play a very important part when it comes to deep dropping. So this is typically what you'll see on the bottom is maybe some sort of ledge. Now this ledge is where you'll find fish holding typically. So fish will be sitting, you'll find around these ledges, maybe a little bit up here, sometimes down here, depending on what's happening with the tides. All right, so as the tide comes in, it means the water's rushing this way, and when the tide runs out, typically the water is rushing that way, creating some sort of currents. Now, when you have incoming current or coming in, so over the course of a tide, which can look like something like this, as it moves through coming in or rising, what you'll find is that the water currents will start pushing water up this way. Now what this means is that fish such as bait fish will flow with the current. So these bait fish will start flowing over and sort of accumulate at the top of these pressure points. The pressure point is the top of the ledge. And this is where you want to be fishing in this sort of area during these sort of periods of time on the tide. So let's just go into a bit more detail. So you've got a pressure point, and the tide throughout the day is looking something like this. And that's high tide. And this is low tide and low tide. So as the current comes in, it's going to push all your bait fish in this sort of region, and that's where you want to be. And so when you target your drops at the top of these ledges during this time, and that is the optimal time of when to fish, especially in the deep dropping, I personally find. Now, it's not to say that during these periods over here that you're not going to catch fish or low tides or anything around here. Certainly, I can say a couple of months ago, I think we were fishing around this sort of region of the tide there, and we still got 30 kilo bass and blue eye just off our Perth coast here in Western Australia. All I'm saying is that this is the time that I find those prime. These others, you'll have to find where they're sitting, because what they'll do is these fish will move away from these pressure points, and you might find that they'll be sitting in these sort of areas, or maybe down here waiting for fish or anything to just pass by as the currents move back, or whichever way. They might run down and through these areas, so they become more spread out. Now, if you're not fishing pressure points like this, there's other ways that you can find fish out deep, and that's through identifying scatter layers on your sounder, which we'll talk about in another future episode. Hope that's helpful when it comes to tides. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about tides is we're fishing the drop off, which is not great. It's not too bad. It's pretty much straight up and down, which is good. for better fish. Freaking pinkies. Okay, well, it's mid-afternoon, late afternoon now, and we finally got out to ground that I'd like to be in, but depths I meant, but just relying on some old marks which look pretty bare at the moment, so wish us luck and hopefully we get a puka or maybe a bass. We're in about 330 metres of water, and the current's going a different way to what I thought, so that's annoying. We'll give it a couple of drifts and see how we go. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this, but you see how my line is going that way. Now we're drifting this way, away from the sun, right? That means that there's a current going out this way. So when we eventually find some fish, what you want to be is on this side of the fish, probably up maybe 50 meters or so, and that way you will hit them on the head. Because right now our line is this way, a fair way out, based on that drift. Got some good sounder readings there. Don't know, it's on the edge of something I suspect, but we shall see. Last ditch effort, probably got half an hour fishing left before I have to head in. Now one of the comments I get is when I go deep dropping I get a lot of green eye sharks. I reckon that's what's on here, and this comes with the deep dropping, unfortunately. You're not always going to strike rich every time. The only way you can really avoid that is by jigging, and yeah, I don't have the energy for that. There you go. Comes with the territory, unfortunately. When you're handling these, just be careful because there's a spike that's on their dorsal. Trust me, you don't want to get done by that. So, got a little gurnard. These things don't count to your demersal limit, and they're bloody good eating, so we'll keep this one. Sorry, I didn't think there was anything on, but yeah, pulled up this. We're just heading in now. It's getting dark, and I don't want to be going in when it's pitch black or with all the cray pots just at the back of Garden Island. They're a pain in the neck. So what do we get? Not our target species with puka or bass, but to be honest, we didn't really give it a fair crack. It was a bit average all day, so no surprise there. Caught a few pinkies, kept one that suffered barotrauma, also the gurnard, and I think I'm going to put these fish on ice. Well, fishers, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, especially if you got some few tips in this video. Also, you've got some great news. We're going to be attending the boat show in the Creators Hub. So if you'd like to meet us down there, get your tickets, head down there, and we'll be free to chat about any type of fishing you like to talk about, beach, boat, rivers, you name it, and we'll try and give you the best advice we can. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, we've got a merch store now, so you can check them out. Got plenty of beanies in stock now, so a few of you had asked. These are great beanies, quite large, and they'll fit right down over your face in that cold weather that we're having this winter. All proceeds go back into the channel. It's a non-profit to enable us to get more videos out to you at home. Apologies between the videos. As you know, the weather's been pretty average. Also going through some family personal stuff at the moment. I've got a couple of family members in hospital, so as you can imagine, it's been quite traumatic at home. So I appreciate your patience and support, everybody, and we'll catch you in the next episode of WA Fishing.